The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 years, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists. Jesse from Dr. Orange Pill.
Europe, namaste.
Oscar Gisa, Bitcoin Observer.
Buonasera.
Christian Rutzwell from Raspberry Blitz.
Guten Tag.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue 1. But first, the price of Bitcoin is up 0.53% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 110,607, a high of 112, a low of 109, and $1 equals 904 Satoshis. Issue 1 Bitcoin price tops $110,000, like we just told you, as JPMorgan to allow top cryptocurrencies as collateral. Yes, JPMorgan Chase, whose CEO Jamie Dimon has been critical of Bitcoin since the very beginning, is now allowing you to use your Bitcoin or Ethereum as collateral for down payment on a house. Jesse, Dr. Orange Pill, what do you think about Jamie Dimon's big turnaround? And we'll all welcome JPMorgan Chase, I guess, as the latest friend of Bitcoin.
We welcome anybody who ready to bow down to the king. We welcome them with open arms. I guess it's something we've been kind of expecting in a way, not just from JPMorgan, but from all the banks. I think eventually it's going to be a pretty normal thing, not just down payments, but people being able to take out personal loans. I think will be the next step. So Bitcoin is collateral. That's a good thing for people that like to hodl and don't like to settle or sodal.
It does sound awesome. As the article says, JPMorgan believes it can manage the risk of Bitcoin and Ethereum's volatility well enough to lend against them. Oscar, what do you think about JPMorgan, the latest friend of Bitcoin after years of criticism?
Look, in the very end, they are quite late to the party. If you look like what Bitcoin collateral solutions have emerged so far, and of course, I think it's a great chance for JPMorgan to separate the owners of Bitcoins from their Bitcoin. So let's see what kind of collateral solution, if it is a multi-sig, a native Bitcoin multi-sig solution they offer, or it's a custody. Obviously, it will be custody, the same scam like Coinbase is doing. But okay, if the people know about the risk, why not giving Jamie Dimon your precious Bitcoin for getting some fiat money for it?
You've been in Bitcoin all this time. You've just been waiting to lend it back to the banks at terrible percentages. It sounds like a good plan. Christian Rutzler, what do you think about the latest friend of Bitcoin, Jamie Dimon and JPMorgan Chase?
Every time a bank joins the game, it's interesting to see. So it's for me one of those popcorn moments, and it's hard to say if it's good or bad for Bitcoin. Like it always depends on your perspective. It gives more legitimacy, so that's nice. I always like this, being more respected in the financial game. So I can get rid of my hoodie and get a better suit. But on the other side, yes, like Oscar already was telling, like it will be probably a custody game. It will probably not in any kind of way respect the kind of Bitcoin way how you use Bitcoin. It will just see it like an asset you put there and give it to the bank to play with and to basically to control AML and all of it. But at least to have some sunshine on that for some older people or plebs kind of holding some Bitcoin and coming and getting older and needing a house or something to live in basically and to own. I think at least it is a nice option on the market to consider instead of just selling your Bitcoin. Maybe you're lucky and you can keep it afterwards. So, but don't bet on it.
Maybe you're lucky indeed. And I thought you're going to quote It's a Wonderful Life there at the beginning, Christian. Every time a bank joins Bitcoin, an angel gets its wings. We can only hope.
You know, I did
But
see
now,
those
go ahead,
really.
Jess.
I love those memes where it shows the price of a house in Bitcoin and in dollars. And so, you know, for that reason, it might be an interesting thing, depending on how it works. I mean, if you can put down, you know, whatever, 1 Bitcoin or 5 Bitcoin or whatever it's going to be as a down payment or whatever as collateral, and then in 7 or 8 years, you only have to leave one of them behind. You know, it could actually be a useful thing as far as like separating people from their Bitcoin. As far as like whatever the interest rate's going to be, it looked on the article like they are taking IBIT shares rather than Bitcoin. So I don't know what that means, but you know, who knows? It's all the beginning, and we're just speculating. We'll see how it works, and if anybody ever wants to use it or not.
Well, IBIT shares are a lot like Bitcoin, definitely very similar. But you can see how they do that, and you can see how it would work out for people because anything else you can't really put down as a collateral. If you had, say, a fancy car, you can't put that down. It's probably going to depreciate or lose value. Only with Bitcoin and apparently Ethereum, they think they're actually going to appreciate, where the bank would make money if you ran out on the loan and they'd get to keep this down payment of your precious coins. But we are running out of time. We have the exit question, predicting against the Bitcoin predictor ball, the source of all truth and knowledge in this universe. Jess C., will the price of Bitcoin be higher or lower this time next week? I seem to recall a lot of pessimism last week, pessimism, blah, blah, blah. But no, we're up. We're fine. Everything's back. What do you think, Jess?
Not for me. The forever optimist, always up, always in one direction for Bitcoin.
Oscar, do you think the price will be higher or lower this time next week?
Of course, it will be higher since Trezor's launch of the new hardware wallet that will heal our quantum threat.
Ooh, higher because of a hardware wallet. Christian Rutzel, what do you think? Higher or lower?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of headroom now after we've seen a bit the downturn in the last weeks. So I can say yes, it will be up, and the market will take any good news to justify it.
There you go. Ignore everything else. Ignore the disastrous trade relationship with Canada that, according to latest news reports, the United States has pulled out of trade talks with Canada because of a video that was not from the Canadian government, a video that was fake, that claimed that Ronald Reagan would be against tariffs, which I think he was. But yes, it was not actually from the Canadian government. So someone put out like a YouTube and wrecked our trade relationship with our number one partner. Anyway, will the price of Bitcoin be higher or lower this time next week? Ignore all domestic and foreign current affairs and trade affairs. Will it be higher or lower? Will it be higher? Outlook, not so good. Outlook, not so good. The ball is pessimistic. Moving on to issue 2, in many ways bigger than issue 1. Issue 2, Trump pardons convicted finance founder CZ, per Wall Street Journal. According to CoffeeZilla, crime is legal. CoffeeZilla on Twitter, coffeebreak_YT, reports the backstory to CZ's pardon. November 23, Binance and CZ plead guilty, $4 billion fine. March 2025, Trump launches WLFI stablecoin USD1. March 2025, a $2 billion investment into Binance by MGX, followed by a $2 billion investment was paid for in USD1. Later, CZ admits he applied for a pardon. Then he gets a pardon. USD1 is now backed by treasuries, yielding $60 to $80 million a year for WLFI, so long as Binance doesn't redeem the $2 billion in USD1, when we all know what happened to SBF. Many people are upset about this, calling it disgusting. CZ violated sanctions, allowing groups like Hamas and Wagner to use Binance, then partnered with World Liberty Financial, as we said previously, and seemingly paid for the pardon. Here's President Trump talking about CZ from Binance and the pardon that he gave him.
Pardoned the founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him, and did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one? Who is
family's?
that?
The founder of Binance. He has an involvement in your own family's
recent
crypto
one, yes.
business.
I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people. I don't know. He was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that. Are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
It's pretty amazing when you don't even remember someone who gave you $2 billion. Can't even recall. Let's go to Oscar. What do you think about the pardon for CZ? Apparently, the president doesn't really even know who he is. And again, it seems clear Binance and CZ allegedly violated sanctions, which would be a crime, would be a thing that they were convicted of. This is not just like someone accused of a crime. This is someone convicted of a crime who's now been pardoned. Go ahead, Oscar.
Look. In the very end, my perspective on that, as a media economist, we read so many headlines about what is possibly going on there. The only thing I know is like he was imprisoned by the former Biden administration for political or fiscal reasons, and Trump was lucky to get him and materialized this opportunity as a business case. So here we are. I don't know exactly what businesses have been closed behind the back doors, but it's obviously that the case that he had to fulfill some tasks, and he did it with with great passion, and now he's free again. So, long story short, it's a business case. It's a business. It's a business
I think
model.
most definitely we can say that CZ is better at business than SBF, who many people on Twitter were saying would be so upset now seeing CZ pardoned for essentially the same thing SBF is accused of doing and is in prison for. But it is, again, what an impressive businessman this CZ has been. We've been watching Binance this whole time. It seemed like a fly-by-night, allegedly corrupt type exchange. They were in one country. They wanted to tax them. They moved to Malta. Malta wanted to tax them. They moved somewhere else. They claimed that they existed no place and nowhere, this nebulous exchange. And then now, best friends with the White House, goes to all the dinners and gets the same pardon treatment we saw for Justin Sun of Tron. It really does seem pay for play. SBF needs to get his people out there paying. Go ahead, Oscar.
Thomas, like a great speaking is show me the man, I will show you the crime. Show me the exchange, I will show you the crime. Yeah, you can put it on any exchange if we are honestly, yeah. Since like they're all operating in the gray sector, they are all operating with frustrating and absurd regulation. So of course, like if there's an intention, of course you will every time find a crime. It's the same with Kraken, with their stealth offices, etc., etc., etc. So it's hard to but like if you do business with the government, especially with the U.S. government, and you move there physically, your own body into that jurisdiction, that's how such a story can go.
CZ did take an awful risk, much like the Dread Pirate Roberts, to be here on our shores. But again, Oscar, to go back, I think the one who's really upset today is Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. This guy's a Boy Scout. He does everything right. He follows all the rules. And it turns out he could have been the biggest pirate in the world. If Brian Armstrong, who's an incredible businessman, obviously, was half the pirate that CZ allegedly seems to be, Brian could have conquered the world. He could have had it all. Christian Rutzel, what do you think about CZ being pardoned? And of course, the comparison with Brian Armstrong and Coinbase.
The Coinbase case I'm not so much into, but I have to say, as much as I can see the whole Binance game, it was always this crypto game. Like be decentralized enough to not to slip through the regulations, but centralized as much power as you can on a CEO or one person. So basically, I see it as this whole crypto game that's going on. So I have not much kind of personal kind of relation to the person, and I see it then as a really, as you say, as a you buy the politics. If you buy it, the politics can basically pick the winners and losers. It's rigging the game. I don't know. It's like America is for sale, and this is another episode in it. So yeah, I don't know. It's like it's what I find more frustrating if you want to see it like, oh, free somebody who did something nice in the crypto game. I mean, look at the samurai people. Yeah, look at Tornado Cash. Those are more the people that at least try to build some protocols and some services to decentralize it, even if they could have better and then all the stuff. So, but those are still facing danger from the persecution from the Trump, basically under Trump's watch. So, as long as he's not at least looking into the Tornado Cash or at least the Samurai case, I don't take this as a oh, he's on our side or something. No, he plays the crypto games. He plays the World Liberty Finance stuff. This is all crypto games, and I'm not interested in those. And yeah, but America, have your fun with your crypto there. So.
It does seem like the real winners in Bitcoin and crypto recently have been big businessmen who already have piles of money, who enter and then maybe short or long or whatever and exit with huge piles of money. Certainly not poor developers who have no money at all and or little money and then exit with less. Jesse, what do you think about CZ getting a pardon from Trump? All the drama, even asked about it by the media now focusing once again on crypto. And again, just the greatest of lights. First, we have we have Sun from Tron with the duct tape banana on the wall. Now we have CZ, just the ultimate James Bond villain.
And not the least surprised. Is anybody surprised? I mean, but Trump said he didn't know who this guy was. So, I mean, if there's one guy you can trust, it's the president of the United States. So clearly, and also, as he said, the questioner clearly knows nothing about crypto. So how could they even ask such a question? Whatever. This is just the way it is, man. The George Santos guy, I'm waiting for the Ghislaine, and then he says, I don't know who that is either. You know nothing about a child grooming, how dare you ask that question?
It is quite something for a guy who accuses his opponent of using an auto pen and not knowing what he's doing to have press conference after press conference where he says, what are we signing today? And they say, oh, sir, it's something to ban fireworks. And he's like, oh, that's very nice. Oh, it's something to ban red letters. Oh, very good. He doesn't seem to know what's going on. I don't know why people aren't reporting on this.
He doesn't, look, he wanted this guy out. They have a business deal. It's just pay for play. It's very obvious the way he's done it. I mean, I'm from New York. I live here. I knew Donald Trump as a business person from way back, and he had a reputation for exactly this kind of thing. It's been his entire career. It's nothing new, but his fans love him. They're never going to. He's unimpeachable. So what are you going to do? His reputation is unimpeachable.
It is pretty awesome, the levels that this has gone to, the size of the bribes, the size of the crimes, and then the people walking free. First Ross Ulbricht, not really money, then Justin Sun from Tron, now CZ from Binance. SBF still rots in prison. His parents' Stanford cries are unheard. And I agree with Christian, it's not so much a new thing here. It's not, these are old systems focused on CEOs, focused on power, focused on startup culture. It's not like Binance, although it was a multinational instrument and organization, it wasn't exactly a DAO where people did on-chain voting and had, proposals from the audience. It seems much more like it was, an allegedly organization, out there making the most money that they can. And all respect to that. Christian, what do you think? Should it have been a DAO? Should we have seen, or is this obvious that crypto would fall to this kind of greed?
Yeah, I mean that's the casino games we're playing, and the funny thing is, I mean now with Trump, at least Trump's the one guy who can run a casino into the ground. So I'm very kind of confident that to a certain degree we will just see a big downfall at one moment. So yeah, I cannot. Again, I have my popcorn ready and see where this is leading.
Let's move on to the exit question, which might even cause more drama than the first question. According to Adam Cochran on Twitter, allegedly, they say that Gareth Jin, the same person who bet against the market before President Trump's announcement on the Chinese tariff, in the perfect announcement of time, winning $192 million in just a few hours, only had one bet on Polymarket. He was been buying shares of Yes for Will Trump pardon CZ in 2025. We've also seen that the Trump family's $314 million Bitcoin mining deal is another insider deal from Bitmain, helping out their new company, American Bitcoin. So what do you guys think about the trouble with buying the Polymarket shares and then as well as the Bitcoin miners? Let's go to Oscar first. What do you think about just the continued involvement of Trump in crypto? We are now forever entwined, it seemed.
Look, here in Italy or in Sicily, the Roman history is quite present. And in the very end of the Roman Empire, political functions had only one purpose, like to enrich themselves, to enrich their clans, to enrich their families. And this is what we see here. And it's not new. It's not new. It's just, of course, of course, I think it's accelerating. It's more obvious, but like, yeah, that's the way it seems to be now.
It certainly is what it seems like, and it is definitely more obvious than it used to be. It wasn't so much in your face before, and also the horrible idea that you could start following this guy and see what he's betting on, and then bet on that, right? Christian Rutzel, what do you think about the potential for insider trading on the Will Trump pardon CZ issue, which of course follows the previous potential insider trading on the Trump tariff announcement issue?
Yeah, the whole kind of betting on having insider knowledge. The closer you get to the center of power, you can profit and you can make very good just betting on an online market. It's another way of the casino. What I find more interesting was the mining story. That basically there's always like, oh, limit the power of China and stuff. And here basically he's buying the or at least relay under his watch, the US is kind of getting technology from China to mine with US energy and pay the bitcoins back to China. I don't know. I'm kind of shocked that this can happen under Trump's watch. So where are the American mining hardware like companies? Like where is the made in America here in this deal? This is really just sad to see. So at least he should stand by his slogans to some degree. So, but yes.
It does seem clear, as Oscar said, they're just trying to enrich themselves as much as they can, no matter with who, no matter with what. Just a few years ago, if I told you that a Republican wanted to take a 10% share in Intel in exchange for helping them out, you would cry communist and socialist. But that's actually what they're doing now. The Republicans are taking 10% shares of American companies. Oscar, did you have more on that? Go ahead.
Oh, look, like it's Nancy Pelosi 2.0. In the very end, yeah. So, and there's no, like, as long as these people don't go to court, there's a strong incentive that this behavior will just flourish, enlarge, incubate, yeah. And that is what we see also in different dimensions of politics. So it's tough to work ourselves like on that cancer and describing it and so on while it's breeding. So yeah, it's tough. But I also agree very much with Christian. That's a new perspective, like really being being in any industry, preaching American products first, American factoring, and then buying that stuff and just to to run it with American energy, that's ridiculous. Indeed, it is. Yeah.
Well, and it's perfect to name the company American Bitcoin. Of course, we're using Chinese miners, but we call it American Bitcoin. It's exactly how you do it. Jess C., what do you think about the potential insider trading on Polymarket, as well as the new American Bitcoin in name only?
No surprise at all. There's basically a more or less zero chance, I would say, this guy's ever going to get investigated or even looked at with any kind of, especially here in America. So I mean, the way things are now, it looks like what it is. It probably is what it is. This is a guy talking about the president who launched his shitcoin like 3 months before before an election, and he made a ton of money off that too. So that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And I don't know. I just, as an American, I'm to the point where it's sort of like what he's saying. We're towards like the end of the Roman Empire. You really feel it, especially with all the stuff going on with people who study Bitcoin, with the dollar and all that other kind of stuff. Man, it's just like we're here. We're watching it happen in real time. And I don't want to. I'm getting older. I don't want to be one of those dudes that's like walking around with a sign, that this is the end of the world or anything like that. But I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen to America in the next 25, 30 years. I don't know how long Trump's going to be president. I don't know if he'll run for a third term. I have no idea what's going to happen next. And anything can happen next, and nothing really surprises me anymore. So yeah, I definitely think there's insider trading. I don't think it's a big secret. And yeah, probably Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, all of them were doing it for a long time before that anyway.
It does seem like there used to be more of a fiction to it, more of a cover story. It wasn't so out there and straightforward. Of course, with Nancy Pelosi, strangely enough, insider trading is legal for Congress people. They're trying to change that. What's become legal, or at least seemingly legal, is like you guys said, these personal coins. That Trump has his own coin, Melania has her own coin. Anyone from any country or any company can come and buy your personal coin. Then they can tell you about it. Then you can feel good about it and have the money so long as they don't sell. So it's kind of this legalized bribery structure.
I think with any news, we are very well advised to look on the positive perspective on that. And somehow this is the decentralization of insider trading. Would you agree on that?
We've revolutionized it. We've clearly made it better. We've clearly made it like it's faster. They're making more money than ever. They're getting higher numbers. I mean, $192 million. That guy opens his account that morning. He puts in the, I don't know, $1 billion. He shorts the market. He takes out the 1.2 billion or whatever. It's hours. We're talking hours. I mean, they should put that in the ads. They should be like, at our company, Hyperliquid X, you can walk in with $1 billion and walk out with 1.2 in under 3 hours. All you need is an email and a password. So yeah, we've revolutionized that. We've revolutionized money laundering and kind of drug running and all these kind of things. I mean, getting by sanctions. This is all Bitcoin, which I think is going to blend well into our next topic. We're going to move there now. But first, check out worldcryptonetwork.com, where we've got 4,628 videos. You could watch it for 3 months, 23 days, and 1 hour straight without any breaks, but it would probably be messy. Moving on to issue 3, Bitcoin ATM fraud is back. How CNN tied multiple fraud reports to one single crypto ATM machine. Ooh, the orange one is bad. I knew it was a scam. Valley woman loses $8,000 just before Arizona tightens crypto ATM rules. 85-year-old Texan saved from a Bitcoin ATM scam by guardian angel. The 250 million warning all Americans should heed. As the story said, she was about to put $20,000 to $40,000 into an ATM when another customer called the police to help her. And Bitcoin ATMs increasingly used by scammers to target victims. And even Montana is looking at a regulatory push to protect people from Bitcoin ATMs. Christian Rutzel, is this what we've all dreamed of? The crypto revolution giving people access to the ability to buy coins with dollars, thus leading to a whole lot of dangerous scams.
It's always with new technology, right? Like the people that know how to exploit it always are the fastest. So I mean, again, you have those scams just work because there's the telephone, because you can just reach people from another country and call them. Now with cheap calls, now global calls don't cost anymore. It basically it works because the internet is there. Like you can with artificial intelligence, you can basically screen your victims much more easily. So all this new technology, but yes, Bitcoin in the end with the ATMs delivers a kind of way to get this the digital money, to get real money digitized basically and send it anywhere in the world. I mean, that's the big promise of Bitcoin, right? You can send it easily around the world. Yes, this could be also done for those scams. I'm more like for age protection at those ATMs. So maybe the person has to answer a brainwash question or something, so to show that you're up with the internet culture and you
Oh, but
can
there's
handle
plenty of
everything.
old people. The old people are using ATMs. Is it like Minecraft, Christian? It's like South Park on Minecraft. They have to know what a creeper is or they can't
Yeah,
withdraw.
something like press the creeper or something. Like I don't know, like at least get the old people off of those machines, like because those the sad thing is like those are often life savings that are getting lost. I'm not exactly sure how to handle this creeper thing, or what's of course a fun question. But the older people are vulnerable. The elderly people are, and even we might be in the future when we get older and we have our Bitcoin stack at home, like you have it like in your in your control, and if you get older you get confused, or it's like it's not easy. So to have some regulation there, I don't know, if it's well thought out, I could be open for that. But as I expect, it will be a lot of crazy stuff that's coming down the pipeline now.
Well, it starts like the first place to start would be some caps. Don't let people
Yeah.
send 10,000. Don't let people send 20,000, some kind of limits. Of course, you could have the person sit there and send 500 at a time forever, whatever it is. There's always ways around it. But it is so sad to see these seemingly magical machines that for years I've told people, hey, go use a Bitcoin ATM, buy Bitcoin, get it with cash. In the early days, you could even get it without KYC. You could just put the money in there. But then, you start to see the dark side of these machines. I know in San Francisco, we talk to people and be like, oh, we're so proud. We got a Bitcoin ATM. We got a little storefront here at purse.io back in the day over on 16th Street. And they would tell us like, yeah, you Bitcoin nerds are nice, but the people that come in to use those ATMs are not nice. And without us nerds knowing, let's just say that a lot of prostitutes were using the ATMs and sending the Bitcoin, presumably, allegedly, whatever, to their pimps. So maybe there's some pimps out there sitting on some fat Bitcoin, thanks to the work of the Bitcoin OGs like us. So it's too bad. This was not the goal. This is not what these machines for, and it's certainly not for people to be held hostage. Remember, the people that are doing this, they have the phone up. They're like, they think they're talking to the IRS. They think they're talking to someone that's kidnapped their son, and they're desperate and they're sad. And the people keep them on the phone the whole time. So they've been on the phone with these people for hours and hours. They're psychologically bent out. They get them all, oh, you have to help me. I'll lose my job. Granny, you're like my granny. You've heard on the YouTubes, they have all these things. And in a way, though, like Oscar's saying, Bitcoin, we don't make the scams. We make the scams better. So, Jess C., what do you think about the Bitcoin ATM scams? It's continued. We've been covering it here for a while. We've been telling people it's going to get out of control. And it's seemingly, again, there's a sucker born every minute. And they're all willing to send you Bitcoin through an ATM.
Well, I saw the article, which, the headline is, I knew it was a scam. But when you see the article, she knew it was a scam after she sent $8,000 and waited a week. Then she really, just like a good TA analyst always knows after the fact exactly what happened and why. But it's, so when I saw that, it appears that they're just getting phone calls at home, and they're going to the store and then putting cash into these machines to send it to the government or some kind of thing, whatever the person says they're from. So it in that way, to me, it's not like a Bitcoin scam, and it's not a crypto scam. It's just a scam because I've seen the same scam where people do it, but they make them buy gift cards, or they get them to give them their bank fraud thing. So it being linked to like one machine just means that like there's somebody knows where a machine is, and people in that maybe that live in that area are elderly, or might be easy marks, something like that. So in that way, I don't really call it like a Bitcoin scam or a crypto scam. It's just a regular technical scam. As far as like tracking it afterwards, that's in the article they're like, it disappears forever. Does it? Because it goes on the blockchain. You know exactly where it went. So is that accurate too? Maybe it's better that it's scammed in Bitcoin. I don't know. But and then the third part of it is that, like, you know, when you use those machines, you have to put in like all that, like you said, KYC and stuff. To me, that's like crazy. I from the time that I've been in the Bitcoin, which is like 2018, 2019, at that point you already had to do KYC. So I don't know of a world where you didn't have to do that. So the first time I tried to go to one, you know, as soon as they wanted my passport, I just did an about face, and I never stepped foot in there again.
You know, the really great part about this is that the victims can now pay taxes on their scam. If you bought $20,000 in Bitcoin and sent it to someone, you're still on the hook for the purchase. What a system. What a world.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. So as far as like solving this problem, it's, you know, I don't know. It's like, it's scam. It's telephone scams. You know, I get all kinds of I get phone calls daily and texts still. I don't know why, but, you know, I think it's more basic education. I don't think it really, so long story short, it's not a Bitcoin scam. It's just a scam. And it really has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's just, that's the thing that facilitates it. But it's really just a cash scam. It's just someone trying to get cash out of your hands into theirs. And it's just one way of doing it.
I think you're right, Jess. There were previous versions of this scam. They would have the person go to, say, FedEx and get a box and put the money in a box, or put the money in some kind of a container that would mask the money so you wouldn't be able to get it in the scanner or whatever, these kind of things. And again, the people didn't say, oh, we've got to stop the postal service. People are sending money through it for scammers. But they do say that with Bitcoin. And I do think that it's part of the inherent properties of Bitcoin that it can be sent to anyone and not stopped, that does continue to allow these scams, and will in the end lead us to look back as a golden age of Bitcoin. This is the time when you could cash in and out of your bank account. Coinbase was still a legal company, not running underground like Binance in the future. All of this is just golden because they really don't know what they're involved with. It's much like the internet. They think they have one thing, maybe it's another thing. Maybe they can, you know, tamp it down and put the rabbit back in its hat. Or maybe they can't. And previous times they've been successful. The rabbit's always gone back in his hat. But this time, I don't know. What do you think? Will this continue? Will they use this as a reason to get rid of Bitcoin ATMs altogether like they have in the United Kingdom? Christian Rutzel, the future of Bitcoin ATMs.
I always think like it's up to the local communities, because that's you have to say, like, you're putting a machine there, it's like you're putting it into your local community. And I think it should be very locally, when it should be regulated, it should be also very locally regulated. So if you can see that your community is not able to handle it, then maybe you put really harsh limits on it and even maybe get rid of the machine. I think if it's really on a very local level, this can be decided, or you can even, if you want such a machine, then maybe you make some education first in your community and stuff. So a little bit, I always like the idea of very localized regulation, where you can really by the community you're in, you can judge if this makes sense or not. But what we probably see is those state-wise or very centralized regulations coming down the pipeline, and those always hit the people that need it. They cannot use it, and the other people find a way around it. So yeah, let's see where this is going. I don't think. Local regulation would be my favorite. We're very local community regulation.
It does seem like they're getting much more than they think they're getting. With a normal ATM, it's a link to the bank system, to somebody's bank account. It can cause a limited amount of fraud. With this Bitcoin ATM, as much as I'm a supporter, I'm seeing it as, Christian's seeing it here as like a portal to the internet. And it's possible for all kinds of fantastic fraud. If you think about divorce cases, think about alimony, taxes, sanctions, all of these things, if you put the cash into the machine, send it God knows where, what does the divorce attorney do? What does the tax person do? And here in Las Vegas, we have them right there in casinos. So, you know, maybe if you actually did win at the fixed gambling games, you could then put your winnings in there and the government doesn't even know if you won. It's another magic way where you enter the casino with money, you exit with nothing, but at the same time, maybe you still have something. So these Bitcoin ATMs are very magical, but maybe not in the way people are thinking about. Jess C., what do you think about the future of Bitcoin ATMs? Are they going to be banned? Is this the next rap music or, you know, fast swing music or something?
Yeah, banned. I seriously doubt that. But I think you're onto something when you said the limits. That seems reasonable. I mean, you know, especially if you got to put all your information in there. Maybe you can only do a couple thousand a week or something, because that's how it is in an ATM. I mean, if I go to the bank ATM, maybe it's a little different. But I even have to go to a teller if I'm going to take any big money out. If I went to the grocery store ATM, I'm not getting out more than $200. So how, you know, the other lady in one of those other stories, the only reason she was putting in $25,000, 25 grand in cash, and somebody was watching her, just I guess putting in all these hundreds, and was like, hey, you sure you want to do that? And kind of like put the kibosh on it right before she didn't lose any money, because it was literally
it's like the
guy was
Price
on
is
the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in the 7-Eleven and somebody's got 20 grand cash shoving it in a machine, and you're just watching it. You're just like, what is going on here?
It's crazy. So I don't think they'll get banned, but they'll probably. It would be reasonable to put some kind of like legislation on it or something, you know, for limits. That seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do.
And of course, a friend of ours in the UK stopped a woman from sending all her money out, and he never got a newspaper article or all this stuff. So it's just not fair. Let's go to Oscar. What do you think, Oscar, about the future of Bitcoin ATMs?
I would like to say some certain things. To start with the future, I think Bitcoin ATMs, of course, will have a future, as well as ATMs have, since if they are completely regulated, like the scam is perfect in terms of, I know from our Latin American friends, like in Brazil, for example, where you can withdraw with some solutions Bitcoin from any ATM, any face recognition data is recorded with the help of ATMs. So ATMs are a tool to taint your coins, to taint your addresses. And I think this is already processed in the European Union. For example, this is like last time I wanted to withdraw some money from a traditional ATM machine here, wearing a motor helmet. I waited three minutes, no message on the screen. I took off my motor helmet and I had my money 2 seconds later. So this is already processed. So ATMs will have that future. In any case, the only and now going a little bit further, like, or back to your first question, or also what Christian said, when things are the only experience I had when I got scammed was in El Salvador, when I bought at a perfectly regulated ATM machine. I tried to buy some Bitcoin. I still don't have it. And looking at the news, what we have learned during the last year is that from that legacy news platforms or providers, we are very well advised to insist that exactly the opposite is true. So I think the machines are really working well. And of course, they're scam. There was always scam. And I also know some people were scammed. And I would like just to end my my contribution with a question: what would be if these fake news providers like CNN, etc., would spend their reach and their time for educating people about how to treat Bitcoin in the right way, instead of fear mongering and bringing people to providers of really scammy services? What would be then?
Well, certainly the first thing to tell people is that the IRS never asks for Bitcoin, and that kidnappers also probably rarely ask for Bitcoin, especially if you're just some normal person. But a lot of that's just common sense. And again, we don't know what it's like, especially for the older generation who has this strange phone call come in and all of this attention when you have no attention, and you're sitting there in your apartment for days and days and days not talking to anybody, and all of a sudden this guy's talking to you all the time and he won't stop talking to you. You can see why people get into this and why they get scammed by it. But just going back to what Jess was saying about the limits, they can put limits all they want. But remember, there's this film allegedly that exists, the last film of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's him going to the ATM like every hour to get more money so that he can then use it for heroin. So if people do want something, like they want a drug or they want to, scam these people or whatever, they'll just have them deposit $1,000 a day and keep them on the phone all week. I don't know, but like Oscar's saying, like Christian was saying, it's about education. We just need to educate these people. And sadly, for the older generation, maybe it's time to get rid of the telephone, especially the landline, where you get a lot of these phone calls because they can scroll through the system and get you that way. It seems like that phone, which was your friend for so long, has become your enemy. And this is probably how you're going to get scammed out of your inheritance, is by your parents or someone picking up a bad phone call. And that seems preventable. Moving on to issue 4, quantum analysis and quantum computing. Bitcoin price prediction. Analyst warns the quantum dilemma could lead to serious Bitcoin bear markets. There's also a dormant Bitcoin whale with $442 million. They invested a long time ago, and they've just moved their money allegedly due to quantum fears, although maybe they just wanted $442 million. Sounds good too. The Daily Hodl reports that quantum computing threat in just 2 to 8 years, warns Charles Edwards. Of course, if you go to Reddit and read the first comment, this headline pops up every few years. It's not as bad as it sounds. Quantum computers could theoretically break signatures, but it's a long way off from being practical. The Bitcoin developer community has already been preparing for this. With quantum-safe Bitcoin signatures, Bitcoin could soft fork to quantum-resistant cryptography before it became a real issue. Open source network can adapt and evolve. Of course, the RAND Corporation reports, when a quantum computer is able to break our encryption, it won't be a secret. Chinese researchers break RSA encryption with a quantum computer, so not a secret. And IBM is explaining what is quantum-safe cryptography. As we said earlier, Bitcoin does have an option. And again, with quantum computing, it breaks all encryption. So bank encryption, secret government encryption, military encryption, all of which are kind of more important than Bitcoin, as much as we like to focus on Bitcoin here. Jess C., what do you think about quantum computers, the Bitcoin whale selling, and everybody just kind of freaking out?
A lot of levels to this, a lot to go through. So I'll try to get first. It did say that probably is at least 5 to 10 years away. So one more cycle, yay! And then after that, we'll see what happens. As far as like, so at least we don't have to worry about it till after the next halving. But the
this
guy
is like the sun going supernova. It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
it's gonna happen,
Yeah,
but not
exactly.
to you.
The whale, it looked like from what it says, it basically moved it to another address and then maybe moved like 15 million worth. So I guess that's 50, 100 Bitcoin or something onto an exchange somewhere maybe. So, maybe cashing out some little bit of it. And, so just as a general thing, I'm glad all these old school people are selling, around 100 and keep it, it's like it's moving into new hands at a higher price and creating a new floor. And that's sort of what happens in one of these cycles. This is what's supposed to happen. So, I'm guessing that's probably what that's all about. There's been plenty of people that have moved their Bitcoin, the big whales that have sold a lot over the last year. And in a way, that's a good thing. So long as Satoshi doesn't do it. And then as far as like, it's one of those things that if it happens, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to be almost like a nuclear bomb. It's just going to happen. Like if say Bitcoin got hacked somehow, or and whatever that means. I don't know, quantum whatever that means about it being hacked. They changed the state of the ledger, I guess, and wreck everybody for some reason. Could happen, but like you said, Thomas, the bigger thing is like it'll happen. It would be everything all at once, and so it would probably be like everybody's bank account, it would be the quantum fear of all cyber everything, like kind of just going to shit. So it's like it's a big thing to think of, and it's a lot to worry about. If you're prone to that, I would say drink a tea, sit back, do a little meditation, relax. Probably going to be okay for the short term, at least. And whenever quantum comes around, maybe they'll figure out some new system. They're already working on new systems of cybersecurity in case of a cyber attack of that kind.
It'll be like Y2K times 1,000. Oh,
yeah.
And the thing I always notice whenever they note about these old wallets moving coins, there's always a tinge of jealousy to the story. Everyone's like, oh, they only paid $7,000 for these Bitcoin and now they're worth 500 million or whatever. In this case, it says the coins were originally mined in 2009. So they didn't even pay for these. They just used computer cycles. How jealous does that make you, media? How could you even stand it? Anyway, let's move on to Oscar. What do you think about quantum computing? And of course, the latest Bitcoin whale sighting.
If I have trust in any ecosystem mastering the quantum threat, it's a Bitcoin ecosystem. First, and it's ridiculous how many, like, looking again media, who is shouting that out, who is telling that story. Mostly these are people who don't own Bitcoin, who are totally fiat money maximalists and writing their messages on WhatsApp. And now they're screaming about the fear of quantum computing breaking Bitcoin. It's ridiculous. Of course, like, it's an issue if you go deeper into that, and it's an issue that is discussed in the ecosystem now for years, seriously. And I've good trust that we will find solutions step after step. And there's not really one reason for me to be in fear about that. Totally confident. So yeah, that's the only thing I can say to that.
I still love the whale story from a few weeks ago where the guy or gal or whoever it was, they transferred 10,000 Bitcoin in one send. They didn't do a test send of like a couple or something, or maybe $10 or something. They sent it all at one time. And that either means they have an incredible amount of confidence in the network, or they have other wallets with 10,000 Bitcoin in and they don't even care about that one. Christian Rutzel, what do you think about quantum computing, the latest doomsday threat to Bitcoin?
I mean, it's always like with the media, like it's driven by doomsday stories because they click, and this is how capitalism works nowadays in the news cycles. So, but there is of course there's some substance in the stories. I mean, there is this Google kind of discovery, this progress in the quantum computing field. So at least pushing the boundary closer. So there is at least something to say, yes, there's something coming on the horizon. I also see it like in the next decade, but I'm also no quantum expert. What I can see from the Bitcoin kind of thing, because we talk there will be a bear market and the longest ever, whatever. Yeah, something. I think. I mean, look how Bitcoin always changes. It's a big consensus system, and to get everybody on the same page, you always need pain to make a bigger change there. Yes, I can see there will be some pain points ahead in the future, and it has to hurt. It's the only way how Bitcoin can come together. If everybody feels the pain, everybody comes together, is interested in a solution, then we maybe activate some BIPs that are lying there. I think it's okay, and it's a good strategy to not overrush the implementation of quantum resistant technologies into Bitcoin, because it always like, let's wait a bit, maybe there's coming something better, so don't implement some first kind of generation quantum resistant technology. I like that. So I think being prepared is a good thing, and you can see this in the Bitcoin scene. If you look at at the discussion forums, you can see just this year you have much more reporting and discussion on this topic. So at least people getting getting client in the state to prepare for this. I like the trend, and I hope to see it growing. And for example, with the Trezor thing, with the Trezor Safe, I think it's sure there's a lot of marketing in there, but I like the idea of just putting on a new device and putting it into the bootloader to make the bootloader the little starting piece, a foundation in your system to make it ready. So and not deploy a completely quantum solution, but just have your bootloader ready. So if this threat is coming, you have at least a little foot in the door to really deliver in a secure way, like the updates. So yeah. So regarding the whale story, I was not very conclusive to see that they moved it from an old pay to pub key kind of address or from a taproot address. So I'm not exactly sure if this was really somehow quantum related. It may just fit into the news cycle, so they just picked it and then printed it. So
You definitely don't want to be the first with a quantum solution. Like you're saying, Christian, it could cripple your project, and then other better solutions come out that are 10 times faster. And I think it's pretty insane for the media to link this whale to quantum computing fears. Just because somebody wants 400 million or whatever, good on them. They were tired of holding and they want 10 millions of dollars, whatever. Let them have it. That's great. But we do keep monitoring these wallets. It gets funnier and funnier. And it's also getting worse and worse. If you're tracking this, more and more smaller wallets will soon be monitored. And soon they'll be like, oh, I can't believe you spent $200 for beer in 2017. That's worth $5,000 now. Stuff like that will be happening. And they'll be asking who owns that wallet. We've got just a few more stories here. We'll do a really short 2-story grab bag. The Federal Reserve enters a new era in payments. Waller welcomes crypto to the table. Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller says the United States Central Bank is entering a new era that embraces DeFi, distributed ledgers, and digital assets within the mainstream financial system. Just another story that I can't believe we're seeing. I can't believe the Fed is a fan of Bitcoin. Even though so many terrible things are happening in this administration, it is pretty impressive to see some of the promises come through for crypto and Bitcoin. We'll ask the panel about that, as well as this post from Grubles at Not Grubles on Twitter, following up on the Bitcoin Knots CSAM, CPAP, whatever it is, imagery. Someone has uploaded the Tank Man image. As you know, the Chinese government, during the Tiananmen Square democracy protests or massacre, whatever you want to say, 1989, the Tank Man stopped the row of tanks. This image is banned by the Chinese government, yet they do not ban Bitcoin. As Grubel says, it has now been uploaded into Bitcoin, so you're now holding a horrible image. Let's go to Oscar. What do you think about the Federal Reserve accepting Bitcoin and the idea of the Knots argument not meaning much, as Tankman is now in the blockchain?
The Fed accepting Bitcoin, it was mostly, I think this article was mostly about crypto. And one thing I saw recently was somebody said like Ethereum like is a test net, is a Bitcoin test net. And somehow let them play a little bit with the test net, and then let's see how the things will evolve. We have the same like with Bitcoin collateral solutions. Yeah, it started with all that stuff out there with red Bitcoin, etc. And now you can put that on DeFi and so on. And there are robust solutions also for institutional players. So it's a first step in an evolution of more adoption that the Fed starts with that crypto stuff. So that's a good thing. And and the second one, like, yeah, one more reason for the Chinese Communist Party to ban Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just one more reason. So yeah, nice. You can also like, I don't know what to say more about that.
Well, and again, we've all known there's horrible things in the Bitcoin blockchain, not to mention all of the transactions which send money to God knows who and God knows where, which has always been the thing with money. Let's go to Christian Rutzel. What do you think about the Federal Reserve accepting Bitcoin, maybe crypto, and then the Tank Man suddenly in the blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the old financial system opening up to the crypto world and more fusing with it. I mean, that's basically a trend we see more and more. So that's interesting to at least to watch. The question is always like, how do you use those more legacy systems? How do you integrate them? If you put them at the center of your system or you build reliance on them, I think you get rid of all the innovation basically, and you just build some new powder, some lipstick on the pig basically. So the question is if there's really something changing. If you use those systems sometimes on the outside of your systems, I think you can often make it easier for people. You can upgrade the UX basically for the customers and make it easier to onboard. So it depends how you use those kind of gates if they open. And first of all, and it's basically all the crypto land out there. I haven't seen anything regarding Bitcoin there. It's basically somehow included, I think, but I haven't seen some example that's very interesting from the Bitcoin side. On the Tankman thing, like being the whole. I mean, this shows a bit like how this discussion is a bit blown up at the moment. There was always this problematic kind of content somehow hidden in the blockchain, and I think also it will not be a make or break moment if op return is little bit bigger, or allowing you to store a little bit more of forbidden data or make it a little bit easier, or like to say, it's not a make or break moment for Bitcoin, because and this is what Oscar was basically saying, if some regime wants to come after Bitcoin, they will find a reason anyway. So it's like this is like the policeman going around your car, and they will find something if they want to search your car. So basically, I think so. It's an example to show how overblown a little bit this discussion is on this one topic on the NOTS team, or at least the community around it. So yeah, it would be nice to talk about other interesting things we can change or update in Bitcoin. And I'm a little bit tired on this one point, making it so overblown. So yeah, thanks for this one example that nobody cares basically.
It would be better if they had a more technical example, something about the size of the blocks or it getting too full or something. Really, it's just more offensive images. And look, now we've embedded the Tank Man into this show. YouTube will now be banned and blocked in China. This image, famously taken by a Western photographer who I believe then hid the film in their toilet, then snuck the film out of the country. A sensational image at the time. One man, I think he was unknown for a long time. They have some people they believe are the Tank Man now, but unknown for a long time, really for his own safety, stopping that column of tanks. Of course, what happened the next day is that the tanks roll into Tiananmen Square and massacre the democracy protesters in horrible violence, which we seem to forget because we only know this one image. But in China, they've shockingly blocked the entire event. It's like the Mount St. Helens explosion just doesn't exist. And you ask everybody, and they're like, did that volcano explode? And they're like, what volcano? So it is an impressive, again, and as the PBS documentary talked about a few years ago, the one I talked about with the film, what an impressive campaign of censorship they have done to erase this image. I don't think American minds can really understand. It's as if like the winner of the 1983 World Series was just erased and no one talked about it. And it was just a blank line in the history books. And like, what happened in 1989? No one knows. It's an accomplishment. I mean, it's censorship, but it's like censorship Olympics. Like, you're the best. Jess C., what do you think about the Federal Reserve adopting crypto and the Tank Man image kind of blowing away the whole NOTS CSAM argument?
The Federal Reserve situation, I didn't see Bitcoin. I just saw, to me, it looked like DeFi, what they were calling DeFi. So to me, that could be, there's pictures of Bitcoin there, but I don't remember, I wasn't sure in the article if they were going to take Bitcoin.
Pictures are pretty good. Pictures are a start.
Yeah. What it sounds like to me is something like, there's JPMorgan coin. There's like, they need faster rails. That's obvious. And this is just like a way to do it. This is just a technological breakthrough, really, that they're finally wrapping their heads around and going, okay, this is a way we can sort of get these things back and forth easier without having to go through other kinds of, maybe even like Swiss and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's going to be the Coinbase one, the CUSDC, or if it's going to be Solana or whatever. But if they are taking Bitcoin, that could be a good thing for the government or even for the Fed to begin some kind of treasury thing like that. So overall, it's progress. So there's that. As far as like the tank image, I mean, it's a nice form, I think, of nonviolent protest. I mean, it's kind of like a fuck you to China. Somebody just wanted to say that in a way without saying it. They just put it, without getting into the other politics of spamming the Bitcoin network or something like that. Just talking about like what that is China. China did ban mining. I think it banned Bitcoin a couple of times here and there, but as Bitcoin gets more mature and more serious, it seems more and more obvious that basically no country is going to be able to. That's what it is. It's censorship. It's a form. Bitcoin is nonviolent protest. So it's like, it's great. It's whether spam belongs, whether that kind of thing should be on the blockchain or whatever. It's there now, and it's what it is. It's what Bitcoin is. It's the people's money. It's the people's system. It's the people's fucking Excel spreadsheet. And if they want to put whatever they want to put on it, I guess they're going to do it. They pay for it. They're going to pay the fee to put it on there. Then that's what it is. They're not breaking the rules of the blockchain.
It's also to note what is offensive and what isn't offensive. There's no nudity, there's no sex, there's no children. There's one man standing up to a column of tanks. And in many ways, this image is much more offensive to all of that other thing. So it's interesting to see that it's not just about the Puritan ethic to protect people or whatever. There's whole global issues about what images are and aren't offensive. And certainly let's not even talk about an image of the Prophet Muhammad, which would be horrible, right? And that again could very easily be inserted into the blockchain. No one should do that. But we're running out of time, so let's go to predictions or story of the week. Jess C, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Well, I made a prediction last week, and so actually I want to take a step back because 3 years ago I predicted a 125 top on October 25th. And we kind of we almost hit it, but I mean, that's basically kind of what happened. So in that way, I've done something incredible. But besides that, I said last week, and I'm gonna go forward on it and say it one more time to get it cleared up. Everybody out there,
3 years later.
Exactly. I think that I think that the 4-year cycle still exists, and I think because there's so much hubbub about it in a sort of a big way, that this one's going to be like a little bit more extended and less volatile. So I think it goes into January. Like I think some of the earlier cycles they go into January maybe, and then whatever happens after that. But so I think we're going to extend the cycle a little bit longer and maybe even break 126.
Well, you know what they say, it's not over till it's over. Let's go to Oscar for a prediction or a story of the week. Go ahead, Oscar. Dramatic unpause.
So yeah, prediction. Look, I really don't know how much paper Bitcoin they can still sell to keep the price at that level. So keep buying, no idea. I'm totally enthusiastic by the new Bitcoin Collateral solution ecosystem that is emerging. Just found this week one webpage, zone21.com, that compares that starts it's from the Nunchuck guys they compare Bitcoin Collateral solution there with different dimensions like of risk management, evaluating the oracles, etc. And so it's like a product service check now for this new ecosystem, and it's perfect. It's working. I'm also doing that. You can get that. Like I'm a happy user of Hodl and Debify, and even now, like you get from a Swiss bank, you can get Swiss francs at nearly at the same day without any problems with just putting your collateral on a relatively safe multi-sig escrow address. I'm loving that, and I think that is going to be the main driver for the next cycle, since like people who discover that opportunity and family office, etc., will do so. Buzzword perpetual income. That will just, nobody will sell anymore, and if people get that, what that means, that will be like a massive adoption boost and also price boost. So yeah, maybe next week 150, I don't know, would be reasonable.
It does seem like after last week's crash, we got rid of the shorts, we got rid of the longs. Maybe that gives us room to take off and go straight up. Maybe that also gives us room to take off and go straight down. I have no idea. No one does. Christian Rutzel, prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I will try to predict something I can mostly control, and this will be that I will be in the UK, probably not completely guaranteed yet, but on the 22nd of November there is the Bitfest conference happening. Oh, perfect! You have it ready. That's perfect. And I heard there will be a DJ set from DJ Rutzel happening at the 22nd in the location Factory 251. So I think we're still finding out the details still, but and there will also be Dan, the Crypto Raptor. So it will be nice. And Roger 9000. So you will have kind of the absolute A-listers here of the kind of Bitcoin culture scene, I think, and all mixed with a nice conference and interesting other kind of crypto related topics. So yeah, this will be happening. I hope I get my visa for the UK because Europeans have it not hard now to get into the country. I hope I get my passport stuff ready and all the kind of things, and let's see if it works out. And I'm happy to hang out with my UK friends a little bit more. So that's my prediction for November at least.
I hope you get it. I know the EU or the UK people had trouble getting in the EU, and now the EU people have trouble getting in the UK. What is going on over there? It's complete nonsense. A few years ago, you'd just be friends. They'd be like, "Oh, come on in."
So nice.
And,
get a plane, get over there. Hi there.
Don't they have the
back.
same systems? They can't just look you up in the same computer and be like, "Oh yeah, it's still not a threat from the EU." They're like, "No, we destroyed all those computers in Brexit. We destroyed all evidence that we were ever friends with Europe. It's gone. You're on a new system now." But I hope you get it worked out, Christian. I hope to see you there, and I hope to see everybody at Bitfest. I'm going to be there in the cold in Manchester, November 21 through 23. Go to bitfest.uk. Still sign up and get tickets. It's going to be great fun at Bitfest. But thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks for saying hello in the chat. We got one comment last week, so shout out to Roy. He keeps the comments coming. I hope Starship had a good dinner with his friend. He said he's going to listen to this later, so we missed him in the chat. But thanks to everybody for joining us. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. And until next time, bye-bye.